carried. 35 items is a budget presentation from the Sheriff's Office. Good morning, Sheriff.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, Commissioners. Thanks for having us this morning. We're here to do our 2026 budget presentation for you. We will get, we'll just go right into it. I'm going to present the law enforcement side of it. Chris is going to present the jail side of it, the corrections side of it. Gabe isn't gone today. He had an issue in his house he had to take care of, so I will come back and do the emergency management side of it as well. That being said, for our 2026 budget proposal, under line items 203, 212, 217, which is the law enforcement, our revenue increases and decreases that we are requesting.
Just a minute, I think we're having some technology.
It's not picking up audio.
Oh,
So
okay.
back there, so we just have to record. You want to record it, record the meeting?
The audio for the
The audio for the broadcast
Right.
is not working. All right, and what would recording do?
Just so we
Can
have
we
to
record it with volume?
Just so we have a record of the meeting.
Oh, yes, let's, yeah, let's do, oh, you got it for the minutes. Darren?
Pardon?
She's recording it.
I've got mine going.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Sarah, you let me know if your tape runs short or whatever you need to. Okay.
Okay.
All right, sorry about that, Sheriff.
Oh, no problem. Line item 203, 5276, police relief aid. We're adding an additional 60,000 in there. We're just anticipating state funding increase. And in that, we've always seen more than what we have budgeted over the past years. For 203, 5277, our police training reimbursements, we're decreasing that by $10,000. We are anticipating a state funding decrease in that. The Orlando Castillo police training fund that the state has been funding for the past several years was normally at $6 million that they would fund for law enforcement agencies across the state. That has decreased to 5.5 million dollars, so a $500,000 decrease in state funding. Inbound fees, decreasing that by $2,000. That's just based on some recent trends that we've been seeing. Our miscellaneous revenues, the 203-5830, decreased by $5,000 just because there is a decrease in more overtime. The 203-5837, transportation restitution, an increase of
$50,000. This will eventually sunset. What this is if we have somebody that's on an interstate compact agreement through the DOC, we go and pick those folks up, and then we can put in for reimbursement for that. That's only if they're on an interstate compact. But this is scheduled to sunset. This was taken out of the governor's budget for next year. And 203-5838, the miscellaneous refunds, an increase of $10,771 for our SRO contracts with DGF and Ulen. DGF has decided to go to full-time again, where they were only doing 32 hours a week. They're now going back to 40 hours a week for the school year. And then just based on some recent trends in usage, 203, 204, 5417 pistol permits decreased by $10,000. 212, 5220, our state grant through the snowmobiles to decrease by $4,200. And U.S. Marshals Task Force grant to decrease by $15,702. That's just been based on some recent usage of that position. So overall, our projected revenue increases is $38,869 over 2025. With
That U.S. Marshals, that's got nothing to do with housing inmates.
that does not, no.
That's would be in a different budget.
Yep, that is correct. That particular grant is for a deputy to be on the U.S. Marshals Task Force, and when they are operating under that task force agreement, then we get reimbursed overtime.
And are you anticipating keeping our involvement the same on that?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. Paul, did you have a question?
Yeah, really minor thing, but just curious on impounds. What makes that, why is that going down? I know it's small dollars, but
We're not able to impound as many vehicles as we used to in the past, number one. Number two is we're not necessarily using our impound lot as much as we're just having the private impound or private tow companies come and take the vehicles back to their lots. Rather than us having to get in the middle of things, we're having the tow companies handle that. And we're also able to use all the tow companies within Clay County, not just one particular tow company.
yeah, thank you.
Then the owner has to deal with the,
Yep, that tow company then takes care of it.
One question.
Yes.
That probably saves the county money without having us to deal with it.
Right, it does, yeah, because it takes a lot of staff time, because when we do have a vehicle in there that nobody comes and gets, then they have to send letters out and things of that nature, so it does save on staff time.
how about in the event of a arrest? Is that handled differently? Does that then go to the impound lot?
If it's a seizure,
Seizure.
it'll go to our impound lot for now. We're looking at changing that as well in the future. But if it's a seizure, it will go to our impound lot. If it's any other type of arrest, it can go to that private company.
Okay, very good. All right, so far we're ahead by 38 grand. That's
So
good.
far, we're doing well.
Doing well, Sheriff.
So far, we're doing good. Our 2026 budget proposal, 203 for law enforcement, our expenditures increases in salaries and benefits. So the 203-6105, we're increasing that 14,390. For our overtime, we're just decreasing that $680. Reason being is I think we were at 160,680. We're just bringing it down to 160, just a nice even number. Health insurance, just due to some staff turnover and things of that nature, that's a decrease by 29,855. Our paras increased by 12,156. Social Security decrease 2,754, and Medicare just a slight increase of 232. Then what we don't know is what our salaries will be for negotiations and things like that. And I think this is probably a good time just to advise the board in complete transparency. I did include in this budget a 10% increase for my salary. Since I have been sheriff since 2019, I have not come to the board and requested any type of a salary increase. Also trying to be a little bit more proactive here and seeing what some of the what some of the unions are requesting for salary increases. I'm just trying to get ahead of that so we don't have any type of salary compression, things of that nature in the future. So that is budgeted in that 14,390 as well.
So does that include steps?
That includes steps as well.
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, they had some retirements, and so that's changes within the salaries and also within the insurance.
Okay.
Yep, just based on some.
I would have expected a higher number just with the steps, but if you had some retirements, that would explain that.
I'd also like to add that not only includes steps, but that includes the additional staff members that we added a few months ago.
Okay.
So I think we're doing pretty well in that line item, considering we had that increase of 10% for myself and that additional hire.
And did the para increase this year? Was that part of that state legislature?
Or the correctional officers did
Oh, correctional.
in July.
And this is not correctional. This is
Correct.
Okay.
Yep, Chris will take over the correctional side here in just a
Okay.
few.
Oh, Dave, did you have a?
Yeah, Sheriff, is this including a 3% just baseline or no? It's not including any salary increase?
That's correct. That doesn't include any salary increases. This just includes the steps and then, as I had mentioned, the 10% for myself.
Okay.
So moving on, our telephone, 203-6201, we did a decrease of 3,500, and that's based just on our 2025 invoices. 203-6243, our association dues, we decreased by $2,000, and again, that's just based on some recent trends that we're seeing. Our gas, and this is gas for the LEC, this is not gas and fuel for the squad cars, but this particular line we're decreasing by $10,000, and that's just based on our 24 and 25 invoices as well. The other professional services, 6271, $15,000 increase there for a Celebrate yearly fee. What Celebrate is, that is a investigative tool that we use to be able to download information off of cell phones and things of that nature. So when we seize a cell phone, we have to get information off of that cell phone. We're able to use that tool to download it. With this, we get, what I want to say, 25 to 30 what we call hard unlocks. So if somebody doesn't provide their passcode, something on that, like that, we're able to force it. We were in with Moorhead in the past with this, but we're finding that they have a lot of investigations where they're using a lot of cell phone time. We're having a lot of investigations where we have to use a lot of cell phones, and we're just kind of have to separate and go on our own with this one.
So is that considered a new request then?
Well, we talked about that, if it would be a new request or not, because technically we are bought into the one with Moorhead.
Okay.
We're just kind of separating from that one, so I don't know if it would be a new request or not. It was discussed when we met.
You were doing it before. Were you paying Moorhead then?
We were in with Moorhead on that, yes. Yep. We went in initially, and then there's a yearly fee that you have to pay.
And I would say that it wouldn't need to be a new request.
Okay. 203-6277 training, increasing that by 5,000, just our increased training costs and things of that nature, that continues to rise. FM Animal Hospital, increasing that by $2,000 with our CSO. We have a little bit more increased use there now. Impound lot, decreasing that by 1,000 for snow removal fees. Our radio equipment, decreasing that by 7,500. It's a decrease in need for Verizon air cards. That one may have to go up a little bit. It's a little discussion yet with our vendor who builds our squads if we need to continue to have those air cards. So we'll keep on that one, but for now we're going to have a decrease of 7,500 in there.
Yes.
That's for the cradle point.
That's for the cradle point. Yep. Correct. And we were initially informed that we would not need that air card, but now that we've got the cradle points in and we're looking at them, it turns out we do need that air card. So we're just going to stay on top of that. And there's a possibility that that may have to be put back in there, but we'll stay on top of that. The 203-6330 mills, not related to overnight travel, that's minus 2,000. This is based on some recent trends as well. And 203-6331 travel and expenses, we're increasing that by 10,000. Just increased cost and demand. What happens there is we get somebody that is not on an interstate compact, so we don't get that reimbursement from the DOC. Then we have to cover the cost to go pick those people up wherever they are in the U.S. And we've had quite a few recently that we've had to go get in California, Wisconsin, and things like that. So we have seen an increase in that. I'll pause here prior to going on to the next slide. Any questions?
No, I think you're good.
Moving on, 203-6351, building insurance, increase of $1,500. 203-6355, our unemployment comp, we're decreasing that by 1,000. Again, a lot of it is just based on recent use. 203-6401, our office supplies, we're minusing that by $500 based on recent use. Our law enforcement supplies, 203-6453, an increase of 5,000, and that again is just based on recent use. There's a lot of things that we kind of take out of that line item. And our auto repair and maintenance, that again has got to go up by another 10,000. It's brakes, a set of brakes on our squads is about $2,200 now, and that's just brakes. That doesn't include tires. So just based on our recent years and increased cost, we're adding 10,000 to that. And then 203-6562 gas and oil is a $10,000 increase, and that we take in based on a 3-year average. And then 203-6605, our equipment over 500 is minus $5,000. This number would go up and down every year, and it's based on the number of ballistic vests we have to buy. Some years it's 12 vests, some years it might be 5 vests, and right now our vests are getting to be about the $2,300 range as well.
How long do those vests last?
5 years.
5 years, okay.
And then we do put in for a grant, so we do get some reimbursement back for those vests, but it's not a full reimbursement back. So our projected expenditure increase for all non-salary 203 lines is $25,500.
Doing my simple math, you're still in the black.
Still doing good. Then we have our task force that was at U.S. Marshal grant. The 2025 salary and benefits reimbursement is $20,702, and it's only submitted overtime to be reimbursed. And that's based on the recent use. We only budgeted $5,000. And our U.S. Postal Service task force, the salary benefits reimbursement for that is $22,155. Again, that's only submitted overtime to be reimbursed. The squad car that we purchase for them is reimbursed by them as well. That's $850 a month we get from the Postal Service for the use of the squad car. So that's $10,200 yearly, and that is placed into internal service. And then a federal fiscal year is October 1 through 2020, or October 1, 2025 through September 30th of 26. Any change in the reimbursements amounts will be known in September. We anticipate that the funding will remain the same or increase slightly for those. Our 206 budget line for our medical examiner, the cost for the autopsy, transportation, it's approximately $3,000 for each. Our budget proposal takes into consideration a 3-year average of autopsies, which is 49. And with this year's trend, as you can see, that's a recent number. As of this morning, we're at 29 autopsies. So we did increase that budget line by $15,000.
Is that still being done in the cities?
Excuse me, what was that?
Is it still being done in Minneapolis?
Yes, it is at Ramsey County Medical Examiner's Office in St. Paul.
In St. Paul, okay.
Yep. And then our budget proposal for dispatch, the 204-251. As you can see, the regional dispatch budget is $6,827,394, which was a 4.7% increase. We have, our share is 8.3% of that, which turns out to be $543,000 and $936. Clay County 911 fees that we get, again, we get just over $300,000, but we split that with the city of Moorhead, so our share is $150,182. So what we pay for dispatch is $393,754. The city's reimbursed to us is 52% of that, which is $204,752. Clay County covers 48% of that, $189,002. For New World, it's $659,146, which is a 15.45% increase for New World maintenance for 2026. Our share of that is 15.84%, which turns out to be $104,395. The rural city reimbursement, they have 31 devices out there that they use, so their share of that is $36,775, and as you see there, per device, it's $1,186.31. And then our share for New World maintenance is $67,620, because we have 57 of the 88 devices.
So ours is the combination of the 189,002 and the 67,620.
Correct. Yep.
And so how much is that up versus last year?
We have that in the slide coming up here.
Okay, well, I'll wait then. Commissioner Mojo, I believe, has a question.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Sheriff had some discussion with the city of Barnesville last week in regards to kind of a continuing discussion after the ambulance request. And, you know, I know this proposal came up. The small cities obviously are having heartburn over some things, but I think it's important to note that we're also seeing an equitable increase in what we are paying into dispatch as well, correct?
That is correct, yes.
And then two, you know, obviously I'm not on dispatch, two of the commissioners are, and I know those are ongoing discussions. Can you talk a little bit about, just maybe for the public, how the steps that are going into making sure that the Minnesota side calls are being answered and or dispatched?
Yeah, with the new dispatch center, they anticipate having a council just for Clay County. That council will be a call-taking council as well, but it's going to be specific to Clay County. That is something that we've been asking for the past several years, and that's something that they are going to accommodate, and they are able to accommodate with the new dispatch center because of the increase in size and the increase in the number of councils. For example, right now, they have 8 councils that they're able to work on, and with their new dispatch center, they're going to have 12. So 4 additional councils, and one of those councils can be for straight Clay County dispatcher from, I think, the heavy hours, I want to say 11 a.m. to 3 a.m. is what that'll be.
Okay. And then in regards to timeline for that, what is the timeline looking like?
So the timeline would be when they move into the new facility sometime in October, and then when they have all these staffing up and ready to go, and their staffing has increased to where they need to be. I believe they can go 47 fully staffed, and they are working towards that.
Okay. And then my final question maybe goes around the, sorry, I can't see. 911 fees. You talked about how that we share that with the city of Moorhead. Is there any component with the 911 fees that gets filtered to the small cities?
Yes, they are receiving a portion of those 911 fees, as you can.
In the
Our
share?
our 8.3% is, that we would pay is $543,000, but we also take the 911 fees into consideration when we bring down the rural city share
Yeah.
to the $393,000.
Yeah, the rural
Therefore-
city share is based on the 393.
Yep.
Yep,
Yep.
so that is being dispersed out as well to the rural cities.
Okay, thank you.
And I might want to add that when we redid the JPA, that the percentage number that we have that you talk about there, that 8.3%, Commissioner Abbey and I worked on getting that so that instead of having a 10-year review through the census, it's every 3 years. And Administrator Larson's been working, and it's determined that that 3 years will be up in November. And so at that point in time, you know, obviously Clay County is growing, but we're not growing to the extent that Fargo and Cass and Horace and those areas are. So we're anticipating that number, that 8.3 number, to come down. And Steve, would that still then apply to 2026 budget?
Yes, our goal would be is that from talking with the executive director and the attorney, that we would then know and we would be able to make that adjustment prior to establishing the final budget.
So, you know, over the years, the way the growth is going, I would assume that the 8.3 number that we pay and also the number that percentage that Moorhead has will both be declining, just based on the growth patterns that we're seeing between the two sides of the river, so. All right, you can continue on.
All right, so this is our overall 2026 budget proposal for our 203 fund line. Our 2025 budget was $6,120,958. Our 2026 request is $6,087,087,715 for a change of $33,214 or $243, which is a 0.54% decrease. For our postal service, it goes from $5,962. The request is going to be $6,522, which is $560 decrease or 10%. Our medical examiner is currently $145,000. We're requesting $160,000 for a $15,000 increase at 10.3%. In dispatch, currently at $386.41. The 2026 request is $406,804 for a $20,763 increase, which is 5.38%. So for our total 2025 budget, not including corrections or EM, it was $6,495,855 after revenues were subtracted. What we're requesting is $6,494,868 after revenues subtracted, which is a decrease of $987, which is only a 0.015 decrease under the 2025 budget, but it's still a decrease. There are three main areas that are affecting our budget. We have the projected COLAs, step increases in salaries and benefits, the increased usage in the medical examiner's office, and then the 5.388% increase in dispatch. One thing that we could have coming up here is a slight decrease in salaries again. I'll be coming to the board next week with a staffing issue, and that could lower our salaries slightly.
So the only thing remaining in there would be, like you mentioned, the contract negotiation numbers are not in there. What did you put in there for health insurance in your budget so far? Was that stable, or did you have an increase in there?
That was a decrease. I can go back to that line. Health insurance was a decrease of $29,855.
And that is, and how did you arrive at that?
Based on that, you take a look at at what everybody has. Lori sends out our sheet and what everybody has in there, and then we take those numbers and we add whatever Chris
So that
does.
has
He does some
nothing to
magic.
do with anticipated premium changes. It's based on your staffing and where
Yep.
they are and which.
There's no anticipated premium changes in there yet because we don't know what those are.
Well, we're anticipating some information coming out this afternoon that could be helpful to our budgets. But Paul, do you have something?
Just a question on that. You say because of staffing, are your numbers down? I don't understand why, because of staffing, that number would be less.
It could be, it might have to do with how they're electing whether they're single or family and.
Correct, yeah, whether they go from single coverage,
Okay.
family
If
coverage.
they're hired as a single person and.
Right, okay.
Yep, that the cafeteria plan contribution could be different based on those scenarios.
Our numbers as far as staffing, we are currently down one. We're in the process of hiring.
Yeah,
And then, as I said, next week I'll be coming back here to the board with another staffing issue.
okay, thanks.
With that, if there's no further questions, we'll turn it over to Chris.
Just before you go, I want to compliment you for your presentation and how you prepared that. And I'm assuming that credits probably go to Chris,
A
doesn't it?
lot of it goes to Chris, absolutely. I'm not going to take credit for that. Chris did a fantastic job with this.
Okay. Give credit where credit's due, right?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you, Sheriff. So I'm going to cover the corrections side of it, and just for a perspective point of view, we have 53 full-time correctional officers over there and 11 variable staff. We average anywhere between housing 110 and 130 inmates on any given day. It can fluctuate by 10 to 20. And Carrie, jump in here anytime if you have anything else to add to it. So we'll go through the revenue increases and decreases first. We do have a projected revenue decrease of $35,000 for board and care of outside inmates. That would be, we're housing few right now. We do have some Cass County and some from Lake of the Woods, but we don't have anybody. No other counties are going to be building a correctional facility. We don't anticipate taking on a large amount of inmates for 2026 from outside of Clay County.
Do the U.S. Marshals use this at all, or is that?
They do use us. We'll do an overnight stay with them, nothing very long-term. They'd have to make some concessions, I think, in order for us to do a long-term.
That's correct. One of the things with the U.S. Marshals, if they want to house somebody here, if somebody would have to go to the hospital, whether it's an emergency room visit or things of that nature, they require, as part of their contract, to have 2 armed deputies to sit with that person. And sometimes we just don't have the staffing at the sheriff's office side to send 2 armed deputies there for an extended period of time. Sure. Especially if it's occurring on a weekend. There are times where we just have 2 patrol deputies working, so that would make it very difficult to accommodate their contract.
Thank you.
Covering the salaries and benefits that we have, keep in mind this is for the 53 full-time, 11 variable hour employees. Also note that rarely do we have 53 full-time employees hired, and 11 variable, getting all their hours in. So at this time of the year for our 2025 budget, we're at 45% of our salary for the 2025 budget. So I do anticipate that we won't spend all of our salary and part-time salaries, but we are projecting an increase for 2026 based on the numbers that the auditor sent over to us of 51,000. Our 6106 line for part-time or variable hour employees is increasing 9,214. Overtime salaries, we are decreasing by 5,400. Health insurance is an increase of 635. Para appears to be a large increase, and Mr. Chair, you touched on it. There was an increase starting in July of this year for the amount that both the employer and employees contribute to para. That is why we see the large increase with para. Social Security, a 3,785 increase. Medicare, $886 for a total projected increase of 93,218,000. Covering the rest of the 250 lines, we'll have, Carrie and I worked pretty diligently on the budget, trying to come in with a decrease in as many areas as we could. We have 10 areas that we're decreasing, 5 areas where we'll see some increases. The 6201 telephone line, we are reducing that by 3,100, and that's basically that we have a reduction in the amount of cell phones that we're using over there. We went from 4 to 1 cell phone, I believe, that are being used over there. They weren't using them, so they requested just to have them, the service shut off for them. 6232, printing and publishing, decreased by $300. 6251, more public service, utilities, an increase of 48,500, and that's based off the 2024 numbers and the 2025 usage so far. Our 6252 gas, which is XL, a decrease of 10,000 based off of 2024 and 2025 usage. 6271, other professional services, a decrease of 10,000, again based on recent usage. Training, 6277, requesting a $2,000 increase for use of force training and other training that we have for our COs. 6295, the prisoner board for meals. This is a contract that we have with Trinity. An increase of 37,000 is what we're projecting. Currently, we're paying anywhere between 30,000 and 34,000 for board or for meals for our inmates. Last year, at the beginning of 2024, that rate was about 25,000 to 27,000. So over the past 12 months, we've seen a pretty dramatic increase in that. Some of that is, or a lot of that is based on the population that we have at the time. So it will fluctuate from month to month depending on what our average population for the month was. For 6296, this is our prisoner care, our medical. We contract with ACH. Our monthly contract is just over $63,000 a month. And then in our contract, we also have a 5% increase for each year. The other unknown in medical is anytime that we take an inmate to Sanford, Ascension, the emergency room, those are costs that are incurred under prisoner care and medical as well. Our 6301 building repair and maintenance, we had increased it last year for a project that we thought was going to be completed. It was not completed yet. We anticipate that the shower repair will be done soon, though. We are going to decrease that by $10,000. 6304 radio repair and maintenance, we have a couple repairs that we know that are upcoming. We're increasing that by 800. And then we see decreases in our next 5 in office supplies by 1,000, small office equipment 200, auto repair and maintenance by 1,000, gas and oil for our vehicles that we have associated with corrections of a $3,000 reduction, and equipment over 500, anticipated reduction of $4,000. So projected expenditures increase for all non-salary 250 lines is $260. And the 5 areas of increase were in more public service, prisoner meals, prisoner medical, and then 2 slight increases in training and radio repair and equipment. We have no new requests this year, and looking at our 2025 budget, which was proposed at $7,358,657, we're requesting an increase to $7,540,134, which would be an increase of $181,477, or 2.4%. Again, with the major increases in more public service, board, and medical. A few of the items that appear to be out of our control.
Is that medical, did we switch that up here not too long ago?
The medical, we went from MEN to ACH a few years back, yep.
And is that going well?
Yeah, I think it's going well with them.
Okay.
I know.
We did that same with West Central, right?
Yep. I think West Central was struggling with them a little bit, but they've been good for us.
Okay. All right, very good.
All right, we will move on to Gabe's budget now. For revenue and decreases for the for emergency manager, the funding for the state emergency management grant, the EMPG grant, is based on 33% base, and then 33% population, 33% next tax base for the county. The anticipated 2026 grant award will be $27,219. This is down from 2025, which our award was $37,992. Therefore, Gabe has no new requests, no increases in the past budget, except for salary and benefits. So his 2025 emergency management budget was $96,179. The request is for 2026, $108,962, and the increase is just due to the state grant being reduced. And that is all we have for you today.
All right. Questions? Okay, we'll start with,
Can I get a copy of those slides? Can you email those?
Sure.
all right, Commissioner Abinger.
Having done a similar process 12 times in my career, number one, I know Chris Martin is indispensable. He didn't help us there. Had I known his skills, he would have found himself in a much less interesting position at MPD. But you've got a great staff, Sheriff. You lead them well, but I'm very impressed. And at a time where everything is costing more around us and revenue sources are impacted, you and your staff have done a good job of bringing something forward that's realistic, but still meets the needs of our public. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else? Yes, Commissioner Mojo.
Thank you, Sheriff, for the, I think, thoughtful budget presentation. I know that you're actively involved in all of the discussions we have in regards to how do we best meet the citizens of our community, and so really appreciate what you brought forward today. Also, as someone who has received lots of comments in regards to the work of your department, I just wanted to give you and your staff huge congratulations for really providing such a reassuring presence throughout the entire county. You know, I've called you on several different issues when I see other issues happening within the county, and you're always on top of it. If you're not aware, you send someone out immediately, and just really grateful for your active presence and involvement to serve all of us. So thank you.
Thank you.
I would also like to add that when you don't get calls from citizens regarding things in the sheriff's department, that's also good.
Yeah.
So,
I meant-
and I don't get many calls, and I don't
I
have
meant
to call the sheriff
appreciations.
anything like I used to.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not getting concerns from people. I'm
Yeah.
getting thank you.
Praises, yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
this is a good thing.
Thank you.
All right, yes, Steve.
Mr. Chair, just, I think overall our department heads really work hard to bring forward budgets to you that are thoughtful. What I again just want to express with the sheriff is we have a lot of discussions, and it isn't just for the 3 months that we're preparing for this budget, but it's really a year-round thing between the sheriff and the chief deputy. They're looking at steps ahead, anticipating the growth that they need, and as you see in a budget today, of ways to pay for that. And so we appreciate that relationship.
Thank you.
One thing that I've seen in my years on this board is that the sheriff has always had a really good assistant that knows numbers. And it's an important part of what makes you look good.
I agree.
But but again, hats off to you and to, you follow in good footsteps, I think, back of Thorson and some of those others, Matt Ciro and some of those others who really knew their stuff as well, and you fit right in with them and what the work that you're doing, Chris, so thank you. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, we are right on time for a public hearing. Assuming we're gonna have them coming in. Matt, do you need to get set up for your hearing?
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Just got to open up a
File, okay.
PowerPoint and should be good to go.
All right, whenever you're ready, you can begin. Well, I guess we need to have a motion to open the hearing.
Mr. Chair, I'll offer a motion to open the first public hearing for Big Iron Properties LLC, a petition to rezone.
I'll second.
Motion by Commissioner Mojo, second by Commissioner Bear. Any further discussion on the motion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, the same. Motion carried. All right, Matt.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Commissioners, and good morning. This is a petition for rezoning property from agricultural general to highway commercial. It was brought forward by Lowry Engineering, the landowners Big Iron Properties LLC. This is south of Moorhead on the east side of Highway 75. It's about a 40-acre parcel. It was platted for commercial use as just a single lot subdivision in 2018. You can kind of see that industrial use going on up there right now. It's ag general right now. There's a little bit of floodplain fringe kind of in the northeast corner of the property. That's not going to change at all. So the request for the rezoning is kind of the first step in ultimately bringing before you, which you'll hear at the next public hearing, a 13-lot commercial subdivision. As I mentioned before, this is 40 acres. It's ag, industrial. There aren't any structures on the property. Fairly good cropland right now. It'd be prime farmland if it was drained, but there aren't any drain tile or anything like that on there. No wetlands. Some information about the property. They sought a variance to the property line and residential setbacks for an asphalt batch plant in 2017. That was denied. Platted for a one lot, one block plat. In 2018, 2 interim use permits were granted in 2018 for aggregate material stockpiling and concrete recycling. They're interim use permits, so those actually expired because the property ownership changed, so that they're aware of that and they're going to reapply for those permits. So the whole kind of the goal is for this one, for the rezoning, is for the one lot or one block, 13 lot commercial industrial subdivision. Would be used for contractor shops, storage yards, material stockpiling, which is an existing use, warehousing, some potential storage as well. There would be two new public rights of way, 2 regional sized stormwater ponds, and there is an existing commercial access on the north side here that would be retained, but this would be one public right of way, and then this would be another.
Is that a roundabout or a
Cul-de-sac?
cul-de-sac?
Yes, yep.
What did our highway engineer say about the cul-de-sac?
It met all of our standards and requirements. Just that with these Internal roads, that snow removal is definitely the trickiest thing. In terms of site suitability, they do have adequate drainage for stormwater, wastewater treatment, also with wells and the ability to get water as well. One question that did come up in the planning commission meeting was just looking at the different types of uses that are allowed in highway commercial. I'm not going to go through all of them. Those are in your packet, but essentially the just with the size of these lots, they'd be more limited to whatever the existing use is, and the intention is to have contractor type shops, lay down yards, storage, things like that. We did get some public.
Matt, does the size of the lot dictate what their ability to use it is for under highway commercial?
It can, just based on the intensity of the use. So like something like a batch plant would require more, a larger lot size, essentially.
And once all this is done, are all those things determined administratively?
No, some are determined through either a conditional or an interim use permit.
Very good, okay, thank you.
Yep. There was concerns received just with potential for increased runoff, water usage, and impacts on nearby wells, increased traffic, increased noise, and then light pollution have been ongoing concerns or future concerns as well. There are a number of residences within a half mile of this proposed plat. We did get additional comments. There is an open access permit with MnDOT for that public right-of-way. They meet their spacing requirements. They're just kind of waiting for this plat to go through. And then we did get comments from our county engineer, just the amount of traffic potential that's associated with commercial uses could just exceed that regular road maintenance schedule.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, a question along that line. Are they on access on 75? Are they always going to be limited to one access?
Yes, there is that. There is a commercial access to the north.
Yeah.
That would service a couple lots to the north, but yes, that would be their access.
That for all of it.
Yep.
Okay.
Now, just going to that, the very last bullet point that you just had up there.
Oh.
Yeah.
About snow.
Yeah, the snow, according to our engineer, that would be a low priority in terms of ability to get to it right away, right? And
yes.
So is the applicant, and how anybody who would be moving in there, would they be aware of that?
Yeah, so they'd have drafted, and I can get to this when we talk about the subdivision, but they have drafted restrictive covenants, and they plan on doing a sort of a developers association to handle the snow.
Okay. Oh, okay, so it'd probably be contracted out then?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Because I could just see, we get this in there, and then, one thing we do get complaints about is snow removal and how fast it happens, and I would just as soon avoid that if we can, so, all right.
The township did take action on this at their June meeting. They approved the plat and rezoning. They also passed a subdivision road agreement resolution, essentially that they're taking on those public rights of way. So those will be township roads. With that, the planning commission did go through findings of fact. Those are in your packet. They did have kind of made positive findings for each of the findings of fact, just addressing public health, safety, morals, general welfare of occupants of surrounding lands, existing and anticipated land uses, effect on ag uses, making sure that it's not creating an excessive burden on public facilities or utilities, consistent with the general purposes of the ordinance, and consistent with the goals and objectives of the comprehensive plan, and then also if it's compatible with surrounding uses and or zoning districts. And one, I just want to note here that there are some residential parcels that are close to. One has a residence on it, and one has just a pole barn for storage on it. And they are very close to this subdivision. So the planning commission just said that if you're thoughtful about design elements of the subdivision with screening and things like that that could mitigate some of the potential adverse impacts. And so with that, they voted 7-1 with one abstention to recommend the rezoning from ag general to highway commercial. Any questions for me at all?
All right, Commissioner Kravinoff, please.
Yeah, was there a reason for the no vote?
Can you get close to your mic?
Oh, was there a reason for the no vote stated?
Yep, Mr. Chair.
There was not a no vote.
There was a no vote.
Mr. Chair, I can speak to that. So I was the abstention, and the reason I was is because I wanted to be able to have the opportunity to vote throughout this capacity on it. And there was concerns in regards to the no vote, taking into account the citizen concerns.
Okay.
That's why.
And do you think that was, do we know on the township? Was
Township passed it.
Yeah. Do you know of any concerns they had?
Mainly pertaining to the road.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. All right.
All right, any other comments by commissioners?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Part of the other concern that was maybe brought up is if someone had the ability to purchase multiple lots, if they then could put in a use that the general community had concerns with in previous hearings. So that's, I think, where some of the concern would be. Understanding, though, that anything would still have a process of public hearing and approval for any uses.
Wouldn't that also require a change to the plat?
Correct.
A plat could be, lots could be combined once it's platted. If that were the case, though, you know, a lot of those more intensive industrial uses have some pretty restrictive setback requirements that would need to be met, and in most cases, they could not be met in that subdivision. So say you wanted to put like a concrete plant or a batch plant.
Yeah.
Those also have setbacks from other commercial uses as well. And so it would pretty much render a lot of the other lots.
So you mentioned just a couple, but regardless of what it might be where they would want to expand that, the likelihood would be that it would have to go back before the planning commission?
Yes. Yep,
there.
for those more intensive uses.
Okay, so
yes.
there would be another process that would still be available for people who may want to contest it.
Yep. Yep,
Good point.
correct.
Any other questions? Do we have the applicant here?
You.
Any comments? Just make sure that microphone is green there. There you go. Maybe you want to state your name and.
Yep. John Lowry, I'm with Lowry Engineering and Clay County resident. Thank you for the opportunity to be here this morning and to hear our project. You know, I'm can get up and speak again, certainly through the subdivision process, but if there's questions regarding that. But, you know, we want to do this in a responsible manner that works with the county and within the guidances, and you've got a good one in Matt here, and appreciate his efforts that he puts in in working with the county in general. So I think, you know, some of the concerns that came up in working with the township board, there were lots of questions about what could be. And, you know, we're not looking for the big things that are what could be. The intention, there's primarily 3 owners for the property. They're all in the construction business in varying manners. And they're using the north side of this, as you're aware, permitted for some uses for laydown yards and that type of thing. For on the contractor side, the earthwork side, and they see a need as Fargo grows to the south and Moorhead grows to the south for continued uses. So that's the goal of the zoning and of this subdivision, is for contractors who need some space in an industrial use to be able to do that. And as you guys have keenly pointed out, any more intensive use, that's not what they're trying to. Who knows what the future holds, but that'll be a future question that comes before the planning and zoning and the board. So
looks like a mini industrial park.
That's really the thing. And with that, you know, they've been doing a lot of snow removal and they all have those abilities well within their grasp. And so that's the agreement that they worked up with the township, is that they'd take care of the main things. And, you know, technically the township, who I think contracts with the county, would be able to come through and widen or kind of clean up the efforts and stuff. But on the daily, they would handle the snow removal. And, you know, good group of guys just trying to do business and looking for a home to do it is really the moral of it. So, but if there's any engineering questions, I think we push through those. We got a little bit of pushback from MnDOT originally. We did have an access to the north, and they didn't want to see that. It was a surprise to us as it kind of aligns, but when they looked at some of the other access points, they basically dictated that south one to us. We didn't have much of a choice in that. So, we're, you know, as Matt said, we're ready to finalize that permit, and as soon as the plating and the zoning and stuff.
Are you looking at individual wells or a community well, or what's for water resource? What's the plan there?
My understanding is if it would just be an individual well, but my understanding too is a lot of these uses might not even need.
Correct.
Have a need for a well.
Well, aren't they gonna have restrooms in them?
Just for like, if it's like a contractor lay down yard or
okay,
self-storage or something like
where
that.
they're-
Yep,
okay.
yep.
Okay.
Yeah, if a building goes in, they'll follow all building codes that are applicable. Yep.
All right. Any other comments? Any other public comments?
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comments? Commissioner Mojo.
Thank you. You know, I think part of the major concerns that were brought up in regards to the hearing really had to talk about additional truck traffic, additional truck oversight that not necessarily were related to this application per se, and really is a MnDOT issue. And so we directed residents to kind of talk or report with MnDOT if they see overweight trucks on that road particularly. You know, really appreciate the fact that our highway department has been part of the dialogue here. And also in regards to what this could look like, some folks have, you know, hopped on I-29 south of Fargo and seen some of those industrial type buildings, storage areas for businesses to house out of. And this is a really exciting opportunity to add some capacity in that area. I've talked with several business owners throughout Clay County over the last 18 months that have been really frustrated at the lack of opportunities that really fit what this niche could be. It has an opportunity to maybe be appealing. I know Minnesota's tricky to do business in, but maybe this is an opportunity to kind of attract some additional businesses and add to the tax capacity of Clay County. And you know, I really do support and appreciate this request.
That leads me to one more question. In terms of the Highway 75 access, did MnDOT require any additional modifications to that roadway as part of this? I know sometimes they've required a turn lane or I forget what they call that when you're going out.
An acceleration lane. Acceleration lane.
Yeah.
And Mr. Chair, I did have a conversation with MnDOT on this, a couple of conversations, and asked about that, and they said, no, not for this. I also asked about a traffic study, and they said that they would not require, at the time, they said they wouldn't require a traffic study either. I don't know if that'll change as that permit is finalized at all, but that's what I was told at the time.
Okay. I know at one point in time, further north on 75, I remember there was an issue where they required a turn lane to be, I think that goes back many years now.
Yeah.
But, all right, well, any other comments or questions? All right, do we have a motion to close the hearing?
So I'll second.
Paul, was that you?
Yeah.
Okay, a motion by Commissioner Krabnoff, second by Commissioner Mojo to close the hearing. Any further discussion on that? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. Motion carried. All right, we're looking for a motion to approve the rezoning of subject property for agricultural to highway commercial contingent on approval of the Big Iron subdivision final plat, which we will be dealing with shortly.
Mr. Chair, I'll make that motion To approve?
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Bear, second by Commissioner Kravnoff. Any further discussion on the motion? Motion carried. All right. Oh, wait, no, excuse me. I got to vote first, don't we? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Very good. All right, now, next item is we have a public hearing regarding the Big Iron subdivision final plat.
Mr. Chair, I'll offer a motion to open the public hearing for the Big Iron subdivision final plat.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Mojo, second by Commissioner Bear. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. All right, Matt.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this is for, as alluded to in the previous public hearing, one block, 13 lot commercial and industrial subdivision. Again, used as described in the previous public hearing, with the two new 70-foot public rights of way. Really, they're going to be gravel at first, but I think they're designing them to be paved in the future. And then two regional stormwater ponds on the east and the west. And these stormwater ponds would be able to act as, with vegetation, as somewhat of a buffer to the residential properties as well. And then, as mentioned previously, there's that commercial access that's existing to the north there, and then the public access here to the south. Again, looking at the site, meeting all of, for suitability, they'll have adequate drainage, be able to do mound or at-grade systems. For septic, the lot sizes are large enough to support 2 drain fields if needed. Just looking at nearby well depths, they average around 225 feet and pumping at 6 to 15 gallons per minute. Our minimum that we would require is 5, so right in there. For their improvement plans, these lots will range from 1.71 to a little over 4 acres, so the average lot size is 2.79 acres, so not overly large. The average lot maximum buildable area would be about 36,500 square feet, and then there's also a minimum for outdoor storage as well. Be 10% of the lot area. Average for these lots would be 12,000 square feet. So not like they're going to be bursting at the seams with outdoor storage. Again, the rights of way are looking to be engineered for pavement in the future, and then already spoke about the access connection there, and you can kind of see what they're looking at for their road right of way. Talked about the stormwater ponds, the wells. One thing they do have is draft restrictive covenants, and then they're looking at setting up a property owners association to do kind of the road and snow maintenance as well. The public comments were the same as for the rezoning. We did get an additional comment letter that was included in your packet, and just pull it up here. That just, from a neighbor, just highlighting some big concerns. I think one of the biggest concerns is that the neighborhood has is that this whole area has the potential to become more of a full-fledged industrial park over time and keep expanding. There's also some traffic and safety concerns just with increased traffic and beet harvest and things like that. All that is in the purview of the Minnesota Department of Transportation, just because it's a state road. And then also just general cumulative impacts, nuisance impacts with noise, lighting, signage, things of that nature. There's some noting from residents of already hearing some, of your typical noises associated with construction, backup beepers, radios, loading and unloading, just that sort of thing there. So those were kind of the major points of the concern letter, and just asking for kind of thoughtful consideration in this development moving forward.
All right.
And then the similar comments from MnDOT and our county engineer.
You talked about paving, any paving that would go on would be through either that private development in cooperation with the township, right?
Correct.
That would not
Yep.
be a county issue.
Yep, correct. There was talk about a development agreement to kind of address some of the concerns and just ensure that development's done in a manner consistent with the county. Just addressing the following 4 concerns, being stormwater management, native vegetation establishment, residential screening, lighting. The planning commission, in their recommendation, did not include any requirement for a development agreement. So nothing was drafted to bring before you.
Commissioner Krebs.
I have a question on that one. Why would we not have some type of development agreement?
Development agreement is useful in ensuring that if there are, that the development is done in a manner that is consistent for both the developer, to the developer's wishes, and then to the county standards. I think the planning commission, what they determined was looking at the proposed plat, looking at the stormwater features that are already in place on the plat, plans for the road, and then future potential oversight with some certain uses requiring conditional and interim use permits, that they felt that that wasn't necessary.
Okay. Yeah, I guess my only concern would be that I think there's a practical way of things being done, but for the development of the association agreement. But just my thoughts.
And I should also mention too, Mr. Chair and Commissioner Krabanoff, that they also felt that some of those items were addressed in the restrictive covenants as well.
One of the things to remember in regards to restrictive covenants, there's no governing there's no authority amongst county or township government that can enforce it. That is something between those landowners.
Correct.
When they agree to that restrictive covenant. So.
And I should also mention that restrictive covenants are typically only in effect for the first 30 years of the development as well.
All right, any further questions regarding the plat? Any public comment regarding the plat?
John Lowry again, thank you for the opportunity to be heard this morning. And yeah, if you have any specific questions, I think just a couple of things to address. You know, when you come to a planning and zoning standpoint, we definitely hear and consider the neighboring property owners' concerns. With that, you know, any restrictions on hours of operation and lighting standards are fully intended to be met with this, and that's, you know, what's a reasonable use for your own property comes to forward with that question to directly address that. And we do feel that meeting all the county and state requirements, there's a way to responsibly move forward with this. And I think the point is that there's a need for this type of subdivision in Clay County. There's a demand for it. And if you're gonna pick a spot to do it, you know, there are gonna be some neighbors that maybe are impacted in some way, but is it reasonable or not? And we feel that it is. And the second point that I'd make there is, from a planning and zoning standpoint, it's good to cluster your industrial uses together. And, you know, we didn't start the industrial subdivision that was done in this area. That was a previous decision by and business and by the county to do that with the batch plant that's there. And so with that located in here, you know, I'm not looking out into the future at other property owners' decisions and what they're gonna do, but it does make sense for the county to promote industrial uses where you have industrial uses today. And I think that's a good decision, that's good planning. I'm sure Mr. Jacobson has opinions on that and guidance as well. So But we certainly want to develop in a responsible manner that meets the demands of the market and you know, the wishes of the county as well, so.
One of the things we don't know here is exactly what's gonna go in on each one of these lots, right? I mean,
Correct.
there's some unknown there at this point in time, but one of the things that our planning commission does deal with on occasion is when there is an individual application that deals with something that might be industrial or whatever, there does end up being conditions on those things, like hours of operations and things like that. At this point in time, I don't know that there's anything that would prevent somebody from going 24/7. And, you know, that is somewhat a concern of mine when you, especially when I hear Matt saying that there's a very close neighbor already. I do have some concern with that, and I don't know if that can be addressed somehow through the covenants that they have there too. I don't know. Again, that's not enforceable by us, but, or is that something through administration that can be part of it, Matt? I don't know.
I think, Mr. Chair, one thing that we could do would be just to work with engineering, one on the stormwater, making sure that any landscaping elements and vegetation could provide some sort of visual and noise buffer. For lighting, typically what we're recommending now is just that all lighting is downcast. So you're not having any, yes, it's all oriented towards the ground. And then just reasonable hours of operation as well.
Yeah, I would be concerned more from a noise standpoint.
Yes.
Into that, like you said, the beeping trucks and all that kind of stuff, if you have a close neighbor nearby, but.
Yeah, and Mr. Chair, anything that would require any, for example, I had anticipated a lot of these potential uses would require some form of outdoor storage. Outdoor storage does require a conditional use permit, and it's in that, the planning commission would be able to put some reasonable conditions on the use of those properties.
Okay. All right. Commissioner Kravinoff, did you have a?
Yeah, so do these small points addressed, and I agree with Commissioner Campbell. So, again, somewhat new to this, I guess, in the rural area, but again, you don't think any type of development agreement would be necessary from staff point of view? Any benefit of some type of development agreement? I don't want anything to be what would restrict their uses, but are there some protections that come from having one?
I had recommended it to the planning commission. At this point, I could see it going either way. I think with the development agreement, just my two big concerns would be just the residential screening, lighting, and then also stormwater management as well.
And if we don't have one, then?
Well, for stormwater management, I think what they'll have to do is they'll be working through the pollution control agency.
Correct.
So.
Yep, I get that one.
What is something about there's a water ponding thing where they're required to have a permit?
If you disturbed so many acres.
Yeah, construction stormwater permit.
Right.
Or a stormwater pollution prevention plan, yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. That would go
I
through
can't
the
remember the
state.
title. I remember the number 4.
Yeah, SWIP, yep, that would go through the state. I would just want to ensure that because there is a nearby residence,
Yeah.
it's very close, that they're adequately buffered.
Right.
And
And that's what,
Well, unfortunately, I think in this process, what we're talking about right now, Commissioner Kravinoff, and I shared my thoughts on that too, but that's nothing that we do as part of a plat approval.
Correct.
I mean,
okay.
I don't know that we can tie some sort of a developer's agreement to a plat approval, can we?
You could, yes.
Okay, we
Yep,
could.
You could, mm-hmm,
I mean, they certainly do in the city.
yep.
Okay, I didn't know if that was part of the
Yeah.
rezoning piece of it, or if it was part of the
You
platting.
you could if you wished, and if you wanted to approve the the plat contingent on a developer's agreement that we could bring back to you for approval, that would be fine. If you wanted to table it until then, I think you could certainly do that. Or if you wanted to go with the planning commission recommendation as well, that would be.
I think a lot of things, Mr. Krabanoff, what would be addressed would be through when they apply for a conditional use permit or IUP permit on those lots once they develop those. Because if you look at the list of what actually can be put on there, just permitted, none of those would really affect the neighbor there. But if you'd go after a CUP or IUP, that they'd have to come back to the planning, and then they could address that at that point for trees or noise and go after that point. I don't think we would need to do that today. I think we would address that whoever decides to build on those lots.
All right, well, I'm comfortable with that. I just wanted the conversation.
Yeah.
And I wanted to kind of hear from, I have no problem with what you're saying, but just wanted to make sure you didn't have a bias one way or another.
Chair, if I may.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yep. And Commissioner Krabanoff, I think those are very valid points, and they've been discussed with the county. And as part of the plan, Commissioner Bear, I agree 100% that this is an issue that when each individual permit comes in to determine the use, because we don't, they're not building out these properties, they're providing the opportunity for other businesses to come in. But there is an intention to provide screening. They've been in conversation with the neighbor that's in discussion. One of the owners, Steve Opdrell, is here today and has personally talked with that landowner. I don't believe that landowner, I don't know this for a fact, but my understanding is that he's not against the project. They have an understanding with that gentleman and are fully intending to be respectful of his property. So with that, the stormwater pond was located to act as a buffer. I don't know the exact width on that, but probably 60 to 80 feet. And then there's also some tree plantings that are intended along that west side. You'll see the same thing along the east side to provide any screening for what could occur to the east in the future as well. So that, although it's not required, it will help if there are industrial uses that the county wants to put those restrictions on. Some of those things will already be in place and moving forward with. So
I think it's important at least that there is that process in place at some point in time. I think of a small area on Highway 75 North where there's some commercial properties there, and once you have those commercial places there, they can have disputes amongst themselves too. Mm-hmm. And a lot of it probably has to do with your screenings and those types of things that were always a concern. And I know those have been brought up in the past through our Oakport Joint Powers process that we had. But, I guess I'm going to defer to Commissioner Bear's, he's been a longtime person on the Planning Commission, and if he feels that there's still is a process for those types of businesses that might require those types of activities would need to go before the Planning Commission. I'm good with that.
And Mr. Chair, I should note that any building permit as well, that would just go through administratively. Conditions addressing those concerns can be placed on those building permits as well.
Okay, good. All right, any further comments? Any further public comment? Any further comment amongst the board? Our owner care to? I think our owner is satisfied. Any further comments, public comment? All right, seeing none, do we have a motion to close the hearing?
I'll make that motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Bear, second by Commissioner Ebner to close the hearing. Any further discussion on the motion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. The plat is approved, and therefore
I'll make a motion to approve the Big Iron subdivision final.
there we go. Thank you. I'm getting ahead of myself again.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the final plat. There we go. Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. Motion carried. Now we have a final plat approved, and therefore the rezoning also is now in place.
Correct.
All right, thank you. Yep. All right, while we have Matt here, he's got one more item on here, and that is the request approval to accept FEMA hazard mitigation grant and apply for the Minnesota DNR flood hazard mitigation grant.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. So this has come before you a couple times over the past year. We've been working with a property owner in Real Clay County, just on the Buffalo River south side, that's been dealing with some very severe erosion, and you can kind of see it in this image here. This is a 2025 imagery. This is the house, and all of this is essentially eroding into the Buffalo River. I think this is from 2024, I want to say, or 2023. But you can see how in this next image it's changed dramatically. So it is really, there's been a lot of sudden movement that's putting currently the septic system at risk. Here's the tanks right here. And so getting ever closer to the house. I had made a request to apply for FEMA Hazard Mitigation Grant Program dollars. That request was a 75-25% split between federal and local, and you had authorized me to go through and apply for that with the stipulation that the local match would be the responsibility of the property owner. We did receive that funding, and that award was $373,875. The total project is estimated to be $498,500, and so that would be 75% of that. I did bring this to our county-owned lands committee just because if we were to go through with this acquisition, eventually this would become a county-owned property. And
Restrictions.
With deed restrictions, yep. And so one of the things that committee had recommended doing is to help seek additional funding for this project. And there was some funding that opened up this summer through the state, where they would provide a 12.5% match for the local match. So that would reduce the burden of the local landowner from being responsible for 25% of that cost, which comes out to like $124,000 down to about $62,000. And so what I'm asking for today is two things. One would be to approve that acceptance of the FEMA Hazard Mitigation Grant Award, and then also to apply for the Flood Hazard Mitigation Grant through the state.
Matt, do you know, from a timeline standpoint, on that application to the state flood mitigation, is that something that they act on fairly quickly, or?
They have said that they would have decisions on that by late fall.
Okay.
I should note too that with the FEMA grant, you essentially have 4 years to close out the project. Wouldn't want to take 4 years in this case, and I don't think the property owners do too. But there's a window there, just because there are a lot of moving parts with these grants in terms of closing costs, demolition, site restoration, things like that.
Okay. Commissioner Bear?
All those expenses are in this price, correct? The demolition and closing and?
Yes, I did get cost estimates from a couple of companies for demolition, well sealing, and things like that. So that's all in the project cost. Yep.
So with the project cost being a total of $498,500, the county would upfront that money, take care of it, and then be reimbursed from FEMA and the landowner?
Yeah, it's kind of a pay-as-you-go thing. So as something comes along, yes, the county would pay and then would be reimbursed.
Yes, Commissioner Krabnoff.
Thank you for the good work, Matt. I think this is great. I do have a question. When everything's removed, and as you said, sooner than later you get the weight off the bank, number one, but is there a cost of maintenance after the property goes away? Or if it continues to slough, is that something we'll have to be concerned about?
Yeah, Mr. Chair and Commissioner Krabbenhoff, that'd be an ongoing maintenance cost by the county. Typically, with our other properties, it'd be just spot kind of weed spraying, mowing. If we were to put this into like a native vegetation, I think over time the cost would be less. And it is it's a smaller
My point is
property
about
too.
the sloughing. Hopefully, this will take care of the sloughing, but
Yep.
the way rivers are, who knows?
Yep. They had originally, when they were looking at solutions for this, had reached out to the SWCD, who's been fantastic to work with on this, as well as the USDA and NRCS has a geomorphology team, and they looked at potentially costs of just doing erosion control and bank stabilization, and that was looking to be $800,000. So,
Right.
yeah.
Okay.
Commissioner Mojo.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just in regards to utilizing the state grants for mitigating this issue, I know you talked a little bit about it in the memo that ongoing property costs would be funded by riparian aid. This is a soapbox that I've had for a long time in regards to how we've mitigated some of these properties, and I appreciate the ability to do that. So I'm glad that we do that. I think it's more about the state dialogue about how we deal with these properties going on the county side. It becomes problematic in regards to weed control, and I know we've had sheriff's office issues in regards to rural party sites for high schoolers. So I just think that's more of a top of mind discussion that we have to have at the state about how counties then, if there's a way to get these back on the tax rolls once we kind of make homeowners whole. And just if there's any way that you could encumber with overlays on the ability to not develop for future use, but.
Well, I think that the development is answered in terms of the FEMA grant, because once you get a FEMA grant, there can be nothing done with that land.
Yeah, correct. It could be, you could put a picnic shelter on it.
Right, but it's my understanding, though, that we can't ever, as the law states, the county can't then disperse of the properties, correct? So it will continue unless the legislature acts, the properties will then stay in the
That'd be
the county-owned property.
that would be at the federal level, be able to.
Well, right, but we also have state grant
Correct.
components.
Yeah.
Yep. And that'll be one of the complex issues to navigate would be FEMA has their own deed restrictions and the state also has their own deed restrictions, and
Right.
making sure that they're married up and match.
So it's not whether I support this or not, I do, I just mean going forward, this is something that we should be having discussions about.
Yep.
Are there additional properties within the area that, or is this home by itself out there, or?
It is in the Buffalo River development subdivision. There are additional properties. I think it was platted in the 60s, late 50s. This property, just where it's situated on the river, is really hitting
That's the one
the
that-
brunt of, yep.
Doing the slumping,
Yep.
okay.
Yep. There's another property that's been working with the SWCD on some erosion control, but that can be, it's not nearly as severe.
Okay. And just for the, we're members of the board, going back to the days that Commissioner Mojo will remember too, but when we had operated, or when we did do some buyouts of this type, Crestwood comes to mind and south of town, and one of the issues there, like, of course, they also received the 75% federal. And, I think from the county standpoint, the county doesn't have a budget for this type of thing and properties. And so the state did come forward, I believe, with special legislation at that time. I remember Senator Langseth was involved with that. And I don't know if they got the 12.5%, but I thought it was down to where the local property owners had to pay 10%. But it seems to me, but now I think through the DNR, I think the typical cost share that they would do would be 50% of the local share. So that would be the 12.5%, right? Correct. So, but just from a historic standpoint, and again, then that other 12.5% for those folks in Crestwood, I can't remember if that was 12.5 for them or it was 10, but it was their responsibility.
Yep.
Okay, Commissioner Kravinoff?
And to that, in this particular case, it's 25% unless they get the state's 12.5, right?
Correct.
Right.
And are these the homeowners here? And do you understand the potential then that if there's no state, then that's what we have available to help would be? Do you want to just come up maybe and use a microphone? Good morning.
Chad Dubuque, my wife Shauna, property owners. To your concerns, Commissioner, we did split our property, which is 2 platted lots. So we will be able to sell the unoccupied lot to the adjacent neighbor, and they would be under the same restrictions that we were, where there would be no habitable development on that. So that would help to alleviate the county's responsibility for that lot. It would simply be the lot that the house is on. And yes, we do understand that we are responsible for 25% of the house, the closing costs, the demolition costs, and basically anything else.
Provided that the grant application with the state would fall through.
Yes, and we are, of course, in favor of that application.
Right, you're encouraging us to apply for that? Okay. All right, any further comments?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, that's a good point that Mr. Dubuque made, is that their original lot was actually 2 lots in this subdivision. And so one of the lots, I think, just had a shed on it, didn't really have anything on it. And so they did split those lots. So the lot that the county would be taking on would be much smaller, and then that other half could go on to the tax rolls again.
But so is the FEMA grant on both lots, or is it?
Just one.
Just the one, okay.
Yep.
Okay. But we would be taking ownership of both lots?
Just one lot.
Oh, just
Yep.
one lot, and then the other one, they would maintain?
They would maintain or sell or.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Our intention is to sell it to the adjacent neighbor and have it joined the same way that our 2 lots were joined.
Okay, very good. All right. All right, any further discussion while we're in the public hearing process? Any other comments? All right, do we have a motion to close the hearing? There's that, this what? Oh, never mind. I'm in the public hearing mood today, I guess. All right, so the first action we would have would be to move to approve the acceptance of the FEMA Hazard Mitigation Grant Award in the amount of $373,875.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Bear, second by Commissioner Ebinger. Any further discussion on the motion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Next is the authorization to apply for the Minnesota Flood Hazard Mitigation Grant.
Mr. Chair, I'll offer a motion to authorize the Clay County Planning and Zoning to apply for the Minnesota Flood Hazard Mitigation Grant.
And I'll second.
A motion by Commissioner Mojo, second by Commissioner Kravinoff. Any further discussion on the motion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. All right, both of those have been approved.
Was there a question?
Oh, did you want to comment? Sure.
Sorry, I know you just approved the motion. I just have a comment. Shauna Dubuque, Chair, Commissioners, thank you for approving this. This has been a really difficult situation for us, and it's been made much easier by all of the great work we've gotten from the county, this water district, NRCS, USDA. It's been a really nice example of how the public can work with or how a landowner can work with a public entity and how I feel like it's supposed to work. And so I've been just telling everybody that we've really appreciated working with the county and especially Matt and his work for us. So thank you for the opportunity, and we appreciate you approving this.
Well, thank you for your comments, and I, speaking from somebody who's had to deal with many families who've had flood-prone properties in the past, whether where you're actually flooded or the damage as a result of high waters creates to property. It's a significant and stressful position that families go through, and so we're hopeful that we'll succeed in getting this other application for you and make those costs minimal to you to get out of that condition. Thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners.
All right, thank you, Matt. Good work well done. We'll take a 5-minute break. Oh, there we go. All right. All right, we are back in session. Our next item is the request approval to hire a full-time deputy. Lori. Deputy auditor, I guess.
I'm not in charge of the deputies.
No, that's
yet.
right, deputy
Yet.
auditor.
Yeah.
Not yet?
Not yet.
It's kind of like our current administrator.
Well, it was Clay County Auditor Treasurer, soon to be sheriff, so. That was the joke a long time ago.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, I'm looking for approval to hire a full-time deputy auditor, motor vehicle. I won't need backfill on this one. Don't really have anybody to backfill into, so.
One question. We've approved this about, I want to say 3 times since I've been on. What does this job actually entail? Is this the person that I would meet when I'd walk into the DMV?
Yes, yep, it's all those line staff, working, doing tabs, doing driver's licenses, all of that stuff.
Okay.
All right. Commissioner Abier.
Chair, make a motion to hire a full-time deputy auditor for the Department of Motor Vehicles.
We have a motion by Commissioner Abier, second by Commissioner Mojo. Any further discussion on the motion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same? All
Thank
right.
you so much.
All right, Laurie. All right, next we have a Place for Hope, the 2024 annual report presentation.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and Commissioners.
Good morning.
Just have a brief few words here. From a social services standpoint, under Minnesota Statute 245, counties are required to develop and provide a range of services and activities to meet the mental health needs of adults with serious mental illness, which may include community support programs and adult mental health drop-in centers. Place for Hope is a part of the core services that the county provides that ensures access to peer support, social connection, and reduced isolation, which are key risk factors for psychiatric hospitalization. A Place for Hope offers low-cost, high-impact preventative services that reduces the need for more expensive interventions like crisis stabilization or inpatient hospitalization, and fulfills service areas that social services does not have internal capacity to provide directly, such as daily social programming and volunteering engagement. A Place for Hope serves Clay County residents and receives funding from both the county and from BCOW Adult Mental Health Initiative. These collaborative efforts are encouraged by the state to improve service coordination and regional efficiencies. With that being said, Daryl Vasvik, their executive director, is going to give you their annual report, and I'll leave it for him.
Good morning,
Morning.
Daryl.
Thank you for having me over. This last year was a good year for us. We moved forward with a little bit more in our food shelf area and seeing more of our members coming back after that COVID experience, them being gone for 2 years. Learning new habits has been difficult, having them come back. We help our members access community services as they come up. And I, as Executive Director, belong to the BCOW Steering Committee as well as a local advisory council. We continue to offer relationships with local mental health agencies and their clients, receiving new referrals and sustaining current members. Last year, we added 25 new members. So far this year, we've added 14, so we're moving right along in that area too. We try to accomplish and continue to create a much-needed positive, enriching, nurturing, and supportive environment for all members to feel welcome. We continue to offer activities to bring members together and to provide the essential support and resources that allow these individuals to regain their confidence and stability in the community. Over the last year, we aim to better integrate our recovery and wellness with our food shelf. The food shelf offers a unique opportunity for our members to engage in volunteering, playing a crucial role in fostering a sense of purpose and community connection among our members. By integrating mental health support with community service, we strive to create a nurturing environment where everyone can thrive and contribute positively to society. As the community demand for the food shelf continues to increase, more families turn to food assistance given the cost of inflation. We did receive several grants this year to purchase food as the Great Plains Food Bank and the Charitable Feeding Network continues to see decrease in donations and food from their supply chain. We did purchase just about $17,000 worth of food to supplement our allocations from the Great Plains Food Bank and donations. As we look ahead, we're still trying to see if there's a building out there that maybe we could purchase or build or something, because we're currently paying about $5,400 a month in rent. We are pleased to, while we're pleased with the increase in our membership over the past year, we also aim to continue to build relationships in the community, fostering a welcoming environment, providing activities that not only support our members on their recovery journey, but also provide the opportunity to thrive. For those of you that are new, I think Commissioner Bear is maybe one of the newer ones. We started in 1998. It was called Social Connections, and it was just dealing with the mental health people. Its purpose was to provide a place to bring adults with mental illness together to build a consumer-driven network of peer support, leadership, education to its members and the public about mental illness, to promote recovery and wellness, and to provide a source for voluntarily social and recreational opportunities. In 2020, we expanded our member shelf to also serve the public and enhancing the services we provide. It was an opportunity to start a food shelf for our members, and as that grew, we allowed the community to come in as we did a one-on-one service during the COVID-19, so that allowed us to do that. As we came out of COVID, we had to decide what to do, because the people with mental illness didn't want to let people in the community know they had mental illness. So we created a separate place within the building for our food shelf. It was a car repair shop that they donated the rental space to us at the time, and we ground the floors down, cleaned the floors. I found money to put in heating and air conditioning and do the electrical work. The county had some COVID dollars, and with Otter Tail Bremer, we were able to put in walk-in freezers and coolers. We have currently trying to add a walk-in freezer, an additional one, as there are several food shelves in the area that are closing and are reducing their hours due to not being financially sustainable to keep them open or have enough food to keep them open. I see on the news last night that Grand Forks is closing one of their big ones too. So as we see that happening, Great Plains Food Bank does have extra food, so we're very full right now with meat products, which is good, but that's why we need this walk-in freezer, and we're doing that with the repurposed one that we took out of the VFW over here in Dilworth. So we just got some dollars from, my mind just went blank, West Central Initiative to help us with the installation. The Dilworth Lions, myself, and our operations manager for the building are in the process of putting that together, and then we'll have Red River Refrigeration, maybe with the assistance of the Moorhead Tech School, to help us get that up and running. So we're happy to see that happening. We just instituted a new mission, and that's to inspire and uplift our community by delivering integrated recovery and wellness services coupled with essential food support to promote overall well-being. And that's basically just adding something into our mission about our food shelf, since it's very popular right now in our community. On the mental health side, we offer recovery support. We do not offer any type of therapy. We try to build social relationships by helping members build skills to increase their confidence and abilities in handling social situations and offering opportunities for interactions both at the center and in the community. We provide life enriching activities that model appropriate social interactions, building trust, friendships that teach forgiveness and acceptance, promote peer mentoring, and explore arts and crafts to work through feelings. We enhance support. Not only do we make referrals to other agencies, but also we offer support that helps members stretch their monthly budgets. Some things we provide are the food shelf, meals, snacks, beverages, computer access, hygiene items, and laundry facilities. We install Hope. We provide an entry point for individuals living with mental illness to move outside the isolation of their home environment. A place for Hope allows them a safe place to be in the community with acceptance, friendship, and forgiveness. To be a member, we have an application. You must be 18 years of age, have a diagnosis of mental illness by a qualified mental health professional, and all members must complete a brief application, and we do a background check. We're still looking at the 8 dimensions of wellness for the agency, which is emotional, environmental, financial, intellectual, occupational, physical, social, and spiritual. Throughout the year, our members are engaged in activities that foster the environmental, intellectual, occupational, physical, and social dimensions. This has resulted in them volunteering 6,000 member hours last year. And last year we had 251 members. We did welcome 25 new members last year. We also were able to provide a little over 5,800 meals to our members, as well as the volunteers that we're helping. As we continue to grow on our food shelf, we've had great support from the Dilworth Lions Club and the Dilworth local Lions, that's the ladies. And between them and our member volunteers, they volunteered 11,600 hours last year. And that's what allowed us to keep open, because we couldn't do it because we have no financial support from anybody for our food shelf. Just out there trying to raise some grants to help us. We're very thankful for the generous ongoing support from Clay County and Becker, Clay Otter Tail, and Wilkin, the BCAL Mental Health Initiative, through the Mental Health Initiative. We've had other great support with grants from Otto Bremer. That's kind of going away. They've changed their model on how they're donating, so we haven't been able to fit into their grant cycle yet this year. Hopefully we will down the road. We receive money from Hunger Solutions, and that's another big question as everybody's dealing with its financial constraints right now. And we've had a few Zoom meetings on that, trying to figure out where that's going to play out. We do participate in Giving Hearts Day. We receive in-kind donations from American Crystal. Last year was about $17,000 worth of sugar. And the Great Plains Food Bank, with the about 560,000 pounds of food we got, that's worth about $1.8 million. So without them, we wouldn't be here either. And then the volunteer hours is worth about $374,000 if we would have had to pay for it. We had last year planned on a deficit of about $58,000, but we tightened all our belts, went out and raised some more money. We ended up with about $8,300 deficit, so we were happy with that, and we can sustain that. So as we move forward to this year, we're looking again at a deficit of about $61,000. And most of that, or part of that, is trying to find a food shelf manager, because I'm getting of the age where I can't work 12 to 16 hours a day and running the mental health side and the food shelf as that's growing. Well, we've kind of budgeted for trying to find a person there. Right now, we're trying to expand our board and then try to do a massive fundraising experience, I guess, to try to get some sustaining funds for the food shelf. One might be looking at United Way. We did look at that 2 years ago, but didn't qualify because they wanted, instead of adding another food shelf, they wanted to find the root cause of hunger. So we didn't fit that one. So with that, I think that's kind of where we're at. We're just, like I said, looking what we can do down the road to get some more sustaining dollars. Any questions?
Questions? Sure. Commissioner Abinger.
Yeah, I have heard from another charitable organization in our city, or in Moorhead. Is there a change in the assistance you're getting from Great Plains Food Bank? There's apparently been some legislative action this last session that impacted on that, to where being in Minnesota has impacted on the relationship we've got with Great Plains Food Bank. They weren't real clear on it, but it sounded like it was an increased cost.
We've just received word that we've been getting it's called the TFAP, the Emergency Food Assistance Program. That's where a lot of the donations, as well as the USDA products, goes through the Great Plains Food Bank. Has been coming through them. Starting in September, October, we're going to be receiving that from North Country, which is out of East Grand Forks. So that's basically keeping the operation within Minnesota. I've gone over to, met with the Detroit Lakes Food Shelf and just visited with them a little bit about it to see what it looked like. And then I took our numbers over, and she said, with the type of numbers you have, you will be the #1 food shelf in this region. So you will receive the largest amount of food from the North Country allocations. Hopefully it won't be less. They are currently in Detroit Lakes purchasing about $12,000 to $15,000 a month to sustain their food shelf. But they've got great county support and businesses within the city that are helping them. So we're hopeful it's going to be okay. We're still going to be supported by the Great Plains Food Bank. They're doing the daily rescue from the grocery stores and whatever, and we do get a horrendous amount of stuff from Hornbachers. And when we look at the costs of stuff, I can see why they're not selling it, because the food costs have gone up so high that no one can afford to buy it, and that's why we're seeing more people.
Thank you.
Commissioner Kravinoff.
Yeah. Well, thank you for your presentation. I've spoken with Darrell many, many times, and I appreciate all his, he's a tireless worker, obviously, and I could just hear in your presentation, you know, in regard to the food shelf, all the different ways you try and find those little bits of money to make it work. One of the things, I know we run the, you know, our provisions of money, you know, working through social services to meet the state code, or excuse me, state statute. I appreciate all the work you do for the food pantry and all that comes with that. You've told me for 3 years that it's time for you to retire, and so that story isn't changing, and I appreciate that. I do think there's a real challenge here, you know, in someone ever replacing you. And I don't know quite how you do that. I guess that's up to you and your board. But I do certainly know through my adult mental health group a number of people that are active in your mission over there, and I just want to say thank you. I think as we see, even being part of Food Commission, the stress that's going to become on the needs of pantries, the food chain, and everything with the cuts happening both in the federal government and the state. It's an ongoing challenge, and I don't think that one's going away for a while. So I don't know if I have anything to really say other than I appreciate the hard work that you do. I hope you and your board find a way forward. I know that the county is part of your effort, and we're certainly going to be part of that effort. But I think how this works, you know, the mental health being one piece and the food pantry being part of that system, which I understand involvement, you know, for the people and serving the community good, cohabitate, you know, well. But I do think it is always going to be a challenge for us to pick up both. I'll just say it that way. But you know, we look at our budgets and what we can do, and certainly know that, you know, we're a piece of this, and I'm sure in some way or other we'll be part of it. But
just another point, we had the TFAP folks here in December, and they were from Duluth and Minneapolis, and they went to all the food shelves here, basically our place, the Seeds of Hope,
Yep.
Dorothy Day, the main ones here in Moorhead. They came back on Friday. They were there on Monday, Tuesday. They came back on Friday, and they said, you know, we think you should become the food shelf for the area, because the Seeds of Hope is open 2 hours, 1 day a week. The Dorothy Day has gone to 3 hours, 3 days a week, and they're kind of on financial instability. That maybe you should become the main food shelf. And I sat back for a minute and thought about it and said, you know, that could be a good idea, because then maybe that would gather more food. But we could probably, we're not open on Mondays, we could probably be open on Monday, then we could probably be open some evenings, which we aren't, because I don't want to put any more stress on our volunteers. So it's something to think about. I did talk to the Great Plains Food Bank. They were totally against it. They thought that they're trying to open more, not less, but we kind of look at it, you're consolidating and doing a better job with more items for people. So I don't know, that's all up in the air too. But you know, you just have to look at different avenues of the way you do things and have done things. So
I have one.
Yes.
Have you ever looked about separating the two, the mental health and the food shelf, and separating the two and having two different organizations?
Well, we just made it one,
Yeah.
and they're actually in two different parts of the building, so they're kind of running individually. But what's been really interesting is coming out of COVID, with the mental health thinking of not wanting anybody to know anything, that they have mental illness, our volunteers have moved over. I'd say 90% of our volunteers that come on a regular basis are volunteering. So that stigma of having a mental health issue has left for the most part. And I've been really happy with that because it gives them a sense of accomplishment, and it helps us also. So I don't know it kind of is separate, but it isn't. And I wanted to say thank you to Commissioner Ebinger and Krabanoff. They did come over, and we certainly invite all of you over anytime you want to stop in. You're certainly welcome. You don't have to be pre-addressed, but just stop in if you'd like to.
Yeah, going to Commissioner Beerskam's, I'm back when former days as Connections, it was pretty much the mental health side of things in that facility, and then it's expanded to incorporate both. And I just want to follow up on Commissioner Krabanoff's comments and the work that you do and the efforts that you do, and I can imagine the frustration level that you have with the ability to try to maintain what you would hope would be a perfect scenario, right? And so, but I also want to put a shout out to what you talked about with the Dilworth Lions and the Lions group that's a tremendous amount of hours that they've really helped with, and that's of great value to our community for the work that they've done, and to all your other volunteers as well. So, but Daryl, thank you for your report. Thank you, Quinn. We will continue to look at this. I have one question. How many square feet is your building? Do you happen to know?
We have about 4,000 on each end.
So a total of 8?
Yeah, and if we would go to another building or build a building, Ben Erie's group, the Greater Minnesota Community Services, want to move with us. They're in our building right now. So we kind of supplement, help each other out. He's got the adult daycare there, and now he's real involved with the housing. So if our people come in or new people come in or looking for housing, we work with the individuals and them. And if we move, they would like to move with us. So when we look at space, we're looking at probably around 15,000 square feet.
15,000?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right, next we have our budget presentation from Extension. Cecilia, good morning.
Happy Tuesday. Thank you for your continued support. My name is Cecilia Amadou. I serve as a regional director with the University of Minnesota. In front of you, you may have a draft budget that we are looking to propose for this upcoming year. As you all know, the MOA contract already has these numbers in there. Some areas that we've looked at are just the operating costs for the office. Will be areas where you may notice a change. As you all know, we do serve all Minnesotans, old and younger, so the staff in our office right now, we have the MOA position covering for 0.8 FTE that covers for the Ag and Natural Resources position. And then we have the office support staff supporting all the people in the office. And that's a full-time position at $75,000. And then we have 2 youth development 4-H staff at $200,000. That brings our total to that $365,650 for staffing. And we are thankful for our committee members that continue to serve in a volunteer position. But those positions are a per diem, and then travel, that's also included. That per diem is about $1,500. The committee decided at the last meeting that they would like to have more meetings, but however, we do think that $1,500 should be sufficient to cover for those additional meetings and the travel time. And then as you go down, we have obviously telephone, postage, photocopies, printing cost. Our rent hasn't changed, so we're thankful for that. And then we have some items that, some line items that covers for if we need headset, just small equipment that people need in the office to operate. And then we just increase the miscellaneous amount as we noticed that we were taking a little bit more out of that line. So we wanted to correct that so we have more true account of where the money was coming from. And then I want to go back up to the top, that $10,000. We do receive some grant funding from our anonymous donor that comes in to support the work. So that takes out the bottom line as well. So I wanted to note that. With that, I'll be happy to answer any questions about our budget.
Commissioner Mojo.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Cecilia. Just, I think for clarification of the board, this specifically, even though you're the regional director, this in regards to where these funds go, it's the county office, the Clay
county office.
I know one of the issues that I had concerns with was last year the printing and publishing line item for the 2025 budget was zeroed out. I appreciate that you added 1,200 back in there. Just for this board's knowledge, that goes to printing the FAIR program booklets for all of the families. So these are not like, you know, when we take that to zero, that really affects the ability to get information out to our families. One thing that the office is hearing from families is, well, they appreciate the opportunity to do things online. If you're in the busyness of summer, sometimes it's helpful to have a physical copy that's mailed to you so that you don't overlook it, speaking from experience, just to, you know.
Yeah.
So I do appreciate that. In regards to the per diem piece, the membership of the advisory committee has really changed in the last 4 or 5 years. There's kind of been a higher turnover just because family or people are busier with different things. And so for the committee to have a better idea of the pulse of the work of extension, that's why it was recommended to have additional meetings. I will tell you that it's frequent that we have 50% online participation with that, so I don't think that that's really an out-of-line per diem line item. But just as a general comment, I know that there's been some tweaking in regards to how we've staffed either the 80% or the 1.0 full-time equivalency, and I want office dollars allocated specifically for them to be successful. And so making sure that we're not making too many cuts on a $1,000 or $500 line item, because in the broad scheme of things, those are the pieces that really contribute to the success of what that office is. So I appreciate that. You know, I know that, I don't know if you specifically have told us or if we've seen emails that there's changes at the federal level in regards to SNAP. Can you briefly talk to the board how that SNAP educator piece affects Clay County?
Yeah, I think it will be a significant impact to Clay County, and to Darrell's presentation, Rosie worked very closely with him in doing some of the educational piece for the members that are in the place of hope, and also the participants of the food stamp program. As of August 22nd, that position will be ending due to lack of funding. And so all the work that was happening in Clay County with Rosie's support, and we actually had another staff in the regional office that was working in Clay County supporting the Haitians, so just a different demographic that Rosie wasn't able to reach. That position will also be ending. So within our region, within our system, we have about 66 people that that will be impacting. So it's a significant amount of our workforce, really, and the impact is going to be significant as far as really educating SNAP-Ed participants how to utilize their funds to go more, teaching them how to properly cook foods that are going to be healthier for them, how to properly budget so that they have the allocations that are coming from the county can take them through the months and not up front loading all their money into, and then also making better choices for their family. We have a program called I Can Prevent Diabetes, so not just the eating part, but also managing their health. There was a bioreferral process that the educators were talking to the providers, and then the providers are referring them to the I Can Prevent Diabetes program so that they can help with their A1C numbers and really help them navigate that health issue that they may have along with not having food. So all of that will be.
And then I had one more follow-up piece. So you talk about the anonymous donor that presents the $10,000 donation year-round, or is that annually? Is that the
Annually, usually
Glidden
around the
Farms?
fall. Glidden Farms, yes.
Okay. So then my question was on the MOA that was provided, you talk about the Clay County 4-H program providing the $10,000 in funding. Is that you're allocating the Glidden Farm or the $10,000 donation there, and that's where it's coming from?
It comes to the county, so then it just kind of tops out the
Okay.
bottom.
But in this piece where it says Clay County 4-H is the Clay County 4-H Federation paying $10,000? Or is it the same $10,000? Are they separate $10,000?
I'm not sure which one are you looking at. Are you looking at the MOA?
So and I don't recall seeing this before, so that's where my question is. And I guess the reason I'm asking this question, I know that the annual 4-H livestock auction has been, the Clay County Fair Board is doing that to open it up to the FFA kids as well. And I know that was a major fundraiser for Clay County 4-H, and so because that larger fundraiser isn't available, is Clay County 4-H still paying the $10,000, or is that the Glidden Farms?
The Glidden Farms.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. That concludes the report.
All right, any other questions?
And I just want to, re-emphasize what Commissioner Mojo has said about just how skinny our budget is already. I know you make decisions after you heard every department, so I just want to say that a few years ago we did cut the intern position out of our budget already, and so there's just not anywhere else that we could make any adjustments without touching people, and we really want to keep people. For the first time in 2 years, our office is really thriving, and we have full staff, and I think it shows. Why, Commissioner, would you say the fair is a different experience when you have fully staffed office? So.
All right, thank you, Cecilia.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. All right, next we have a request approval to purchase, excuse me. Yeah, that's right, we got Corey.
Morning, Mr.
30-yard dumpsters.
Yes, to give you a little history on these, and I'll try to be brief because I know you're running behind, but about a year ago, we partnered with the facilities department and we started supplying them a dumpster so that they wouldn't have to rent. Just this year alone, they've had one of our dumpsters the whole year. We've dumped it 7 times, which if you were to take it and actually rent a dumpster and pay the fee or the dumping fee and the rental, it would actually pay for half a dumpster. So I worked out a deal with Joe that he would buy half of one of these dumpsters for his use. That would free up one for us to have at the transfer station for a spare, and I would also like a second for a spare for the landfill. With the additional demo material that we're getting now that the demo landfill can take private loads. I'll give you an example. Last Wednesday, I dumped 5 dumpsters. Prior to that, we were probably dumping 2 every week and a half. I couldn't keep the dumpsters empty at the landfill. I dumped one, came back, and it was already full again. So I just kept rotating through in the afternoon. By buying this second one, we would have a spare out there so that we could rotate through and do it at more convenient times. We like to fill them out, rotate them, and then haul 2 or 3 at a time. but we can't do that now because you never know when you're gonna need the capacity, so we're pretty much having to dump them as soon as we fill them. With that, I did receive 2 bids from local companies. One was for $18,054.40, and the other was for $17,400, so I would look for approval to purchase the lesser of the 2 bids on the 2 dumpsters.
All right, and this was brought forward through SWAC, and SWAC recommended approval of this.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I just wanted to comment that I think this is probably a direct relation to citizens utilizing the services that we're providing. Really felt like this was an ability to purchase something that would really go help to encourage people to dispose of trash in a responsible manner. So the SWAC committee really felt that this was an appropriate use of funds. With that, I'll make a motion to approve the request.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Mojo, second by Commissioner Ebinger. Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, the same. Motion carried. All right, Corey, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next we have Justin. Justin, you're up. Good morning.
Good morning. So the item I'm bringing today is requesting approval of an amendment to the bridge bonding grant agreement, number 1052499. So when we first kind of did the North Broadway Bridge study and determined that it did need to be removed, we did receive bridge bonding. Something that we did after the fact was kind of that study that Houston Engineering did. So this is just reimbursing us for that study since the bridge was not replaced. So it's an additional $78,035 that we'll get in bridge bonding to cover those expenses.
All right. Sounds like a deal we can't refuse.
Yeah.
We have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the amendment to the midnight contract.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Krabnoff, second by Commissioner Ebinger. Any further discussion? Further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, the same sign. Motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
thank you. In regards to the horrible accident that happened last week in Moorhead, I just really want to maybe encourage Justin. You work so diligently with municipalities and schools in regards to the Safe Routes to School program. And just because we help kind of oversight some of those grant projects, can we reach out to Moorhead and see if there's any additional not only Moorhead, but I guess all of our schools and school districts, to see that if there's any additional projects that we want to kind of help facilitate in regards to addressing a safer way for crosswalks.
Absolutely, I can do that.
Thank you.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Justin. All right, next we have our county attorney's budget presentation. Good morning, Brian.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, Commissioners. Thanks for having me here at the end of the day in the board meeting. As you're well aware, my budget is not much of a revenue generator, or largely salary based, but I'll walk through here with you today, and if you have any questions, be glad to answer them for you. On the revenue side, that's a formulated refund piece is the primary revenue from federal reimbursements with either social services or through other court programs. Nothing much more to add than is formulated through Lori. Moving down to expenditures, the salary piece, mostly just, again, formulated increases. There's some decrease in the health insurance piece, as I think we talked about earlier when Sheriff Empting was here. Those are really, I think, just mainly based on, we've had different turnover over the last year, and we see that sometimes where somebody leaves that may have had family and moves maybe to a single person that's coming in. So just different adjustments there, all the way down through Social Security, Medicare. I draw your attention to 6232, printing and publishing. Although we are, and I'll talk about the computer software here when we get down to 6404, but
more so a paperless office than ever, but there's still obviously paper that's used within court. We still print out a lot of, whether it's transcripts from cases, those types of things that come in. So slight increase in printing and publishing. Association dues and membership, 6243, increase there as well. That's primarily keeping attorneys with their license. And then we also have our County Attorney Association dues that we pay regularly each year. 6271 process service, we dropped that down slightly, just a little bit less process service cost that continue to happen. We've seen that go down over the years. Just a small thing, 6330, we eliminated, we haven't seen that use meals not related to overnight travel for, I think, quite a while, if ever, so I just eliminated that line. And then moving down to 6404, computer software, I think when I presented before to the board and our yearly update, we're definitely seeing that's just gonna be the increase that we'll see over the years between our software that we use as a database to manage our files, as well as continuing to see more storage space needed. Those are a lot of the costs that we're seeing increase there, so. And then down below 6271, that's the drug court cost that we maintain within our books. That continues to be there. So that's generally speaking expenditures within the office, 2.52% increase. Subject to any questions you might have, I would move over then to victim services.
Any questions? All right.
Our victim services section then, again, I think, well, what I really need to or want to highlight there, that 5221 is actually a space used, as you recall, we came in front of the board earlier in the year, or late last year, whenever that was exactly, but looked to get a grant to help augment services, primarily towards restorative justice. Commissioner Emiger's been serving on our board that's looking at that. We did receive approximately 200, I think it's 203,000. So but that's over 18 months throughout next year, 2026, and then 6 months into 2027 is the period of time we'll have to use that. So we've put a portion of that into revenues. So you see that increase there, that 153,000. All of that is paid out into salary, some portion of Lucas's, our restorative justice coordinator, as well as having a part-time person, which is what we asked to be able to do, to be able to service not just Moorhead, and we're also getting out into all of the other county schools, but having a part-time person that can help service that. And then some other services. So you see down at the very bottom, 6271, that's the other and the remainder payout of other contracts that we'll be doing, whether it's with F5 or the services that we're engaging with. There's a woman who will start to do some management of statistics to see if we can kind of capture more of that. So just some different contracts, which will all be paid out. So that's where you see that increase both in revenues as well as expenditures. Otherwise, everything else is just salary related, either what the county pays or through the VOCA grant that pays, and those have pretty well stayed, I won't say stagnant, increased slightly with the cost of living, but those, that's everything as far as expenses and revenues for victim services.
Mr. Chair, I'd just comment on that. Michelle's done a phenomenal job at not only getting funding for this, but drawing people from all over the community, from different schools and the universities and social active groups, professions, and she's got a team together that's just taken restorative justice to a new level in this area. And it's commendable. They've done an excellent job, and I think Lucas in the schools has just been he's legendary. And he's also overworked, which leads to needing a part-time position to help pick it up now that Moorhead schools are also involved in this. But excellent job from your staff, and it's commendable, and I think our continued support is certainly warranted.
Thank you. Yeah, I think just to comment a little bit, I know this is budget, but obviously that piece of that budget and that addition that's shown there, but I think it is nice to have all that set up here coming into the new school year of 2025 into 26. Those additions, that extra part-time person, some of those other contracted pieces will go into effect. I think will just help hit the ground running. Those additions that we wanted to see, I think will really help exponentially and will be a great addition and a really good school year. With that, if there's no other questions regarding any of that stuff, the last piece then is the law library. Obviously, we're statutorily required. Every county has a law library. That falls under my budget. It's a self-paying. There's a law library fee that's added on to any and all criminal offenses or defendants that come through. They pay that law library fee. That maintains the law library itself. They currently have 2 part-time people that are filling the amount of part-time funding for a law librarian. The law librarian is really responsible primarily just for keeping books updated, keeping the bills paid. They come through the library, but then through my office to approve. I think as you see the periodicals there, there's a big portion that's positioned there. Largely, I think you see, just like within our world now, there's a lot less book research done. It's mostly through Westlaw, and they have a Westlaw computer station there, as well as then a self-serve station for people that need to get things, if they need to get documents or things for court. And that's primarily what's used within the law library, I'd say probably 95%, but we still maintain everything that we're required to under the statute. So again, that's self-paid. As you see, it's maintained, its budget the same, and the board that services that. I have a person out of my office, as well as Judge Rosenfeld that administers that board. And I don't know if any of the commissioners are, okay, and Commissioner Krabbenhoff's on it too. So I mean, we have a very good law library here, and it continues to function well. And with
looking at this, Brian, it looks like your overall budget, when you look into all of your pages combined, you're probably looking at about probably about a $20,000 overall increase. If I'm,
we're doing,
because your victim witness, even though you're showing a 23 point.
Right, I wanted to, that's why I want to make sure this, I know, and you recognize that. It's 23%, but that is really because of that showing of that extra money.
Right, you got the revenue on top. So you're, in reality, you're probably 45,000 revenues over expenditures in that. All right, that budget looks good.
Thank you, appreciate you being here.
Thank you, Brian. All right, according to this, we were magically within 6 minutes of our time. We have a scheduled break. Do we need a break, or can we keep going?
Good.
All right, before we go into committee reports, I do want to mention that this last week, our county community lost a former county commissioner, Alan Melby, and he served quite some time as a commissioner here in Clay County, and I just want to say that our sympathies go out to the Melby family for the loss of that good man. So with that, let's see, who did I start with last time? I think we're going to, Ezra, I think it's your turn to start.
Mr. Chair, I only had one committee report in the last 2 weeks, and that was with the West Central Regional Water District. We met on July 28th up in Halsted. And we went, not too much to report, but we had a budget update, and it looks like we'll probably be running out of funds there by the end of August, maybe September. And then the EPA grant that we are supposed to be receiving They put a new manager up there, and now we're working through a new manager to try to receive those funds, so that might take a little longer. So we are still working through that process to see what happens there and see how far we can stretch that budget we have left. And that is all I have to pretty much report on that meeting, and that was all my meetings.
Thank you, Commissioner Everett.
Thank you. Last week, on the 23rd, I remotely attended the Moorhead Metropolitan Flood Diversion Authority Finance Committee meeting. It was pretty much business as usual. Budget item requests. There was some transfer of funds and 2.5 million switched over to meet some of the obligations we have on task order 8. And then 2 contracts were approved. Pretty much just standard business on that. Thursday, the 24th, I attended the Criminal Justice Advisory Board. Dale Arnold, our district supervisor for probation and parole, was the host of that. The probation department is currently moving ahead with relocating the courthouse. The felony probation parole folks moved in yesterday, and they completed that part of the move. The contract office will move in October. We also had a presentation from Cody Underdahl of the ISR, the Intensive Supervision Release Team. He gave a presentation of their activities there. Later that day, I attended a Diversion Board Authority meeting. And again, standard business. I'm not looking at anything that jumps out. We had the usual financial reports and report from council. Perhaps Chair, something strikes him as more notable, but it was pretty much a open and shut meeting on that. And that completes my report.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Krabanoff?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Had 2 meetings, one 22nd of July, and then yesterday, August 4th, both involving the upcoming health insurance renewals. So one was subcommittee and one was full group. The full group back on the 22nd, we had our full presentation to the full committee from our health insurance broker, NIS. They went through about 5 different proposals through the RFP process that was given to us. And all I can say at this point, we consider to have a conversation, hone in the possibilities from each of these companies to find the most beneficial rates we can get that our insurance group and all our employees are in favor of. Right now, the rates proposals that we're getting are very favorable. They've been falling for 2026. If they're 2-year contracts, there will be some increases in those second years, but if you look at the average of the 2-year, there'll be smaller increases than we've had in the last few years. So we'll continue to have these meetings through the month of August and hopefully come up with a final product that then we'll come to the board and we'll vote on it. So that's all I have.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Mojo.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. On July 22nd, I attended a full day of MetroCog mid-year review with North Dakota DOT, MnDOT, and Federal Highway. I appreciate the opportunity as chair to sit through that review process and provide insight in regards to how the policy board utilizes workflow with the MetroCog staff. On July 23rd, I attended the Land Management Committee meeting of the FM Diversion. We did have a long discussion on land dispersal and moving forward with proposing those parcels for sale. There was some land in Horace along the rail corridor that continues to be a little bit of an issue, so the board gave direction to staff to work with the landowners there. On July 24th, I attended the SWAT committee meeting. We had general business updates on, and Commissioner Campbell rather gave updates from the Perham facility. MPCA did visit the landfill, and there was an issue identified with a runoff component. Corey's working with staff to make sure that that is fixed, and did recommend the purchase of the dumpsters. I appreciate this board's support on that. Of note, on September 2nd through 5th, from 8 to 4, there will be the solid waste group will be collecting empty pesticide containers so that they can be disposed of properly. After that committee, we did have the contract negotiation of the resource recovery facility with the city of Moorhead and the county. Regrettably, we've not been able to come to a mutual agreement on the contract for that facility with the city of Moorhead. As stated, they intend to withdraw from that agreement in November. The contract does state that they'll be in that facility operating until January 1st. It is my deep, deep hope that we can come to an agreement sooner rather than later. I know that the county needs to go through and address tipping fees for all of our facilities to make sure that we're recouping the costs of operation there. It's disappointing if this is where we're going to be at, but I'm really hopeful that we can find some agreement. But I will say that we are quite far apart on what the wishes of each entity are. Later that afternoon, I attended the MCC JPA meeting. We did have general business, had a property acquisition status report from Mr. Dodds, and did approve reimbursements on a relocation reimbursement. Then we did take action on administrative plating and affidavits for parcel splits. Administratively, our office, our planning and zoning office has been working on that and did recommend excess land disposals. So that's that. That evening, I attended the Community Action Lakes or CAP LP meeting. We did have a fairly busy schedule on the agenda. We talked about approval of a rural health grant and disaster preparedness community action grant. We did approve the 990 for the 24 tax year, and did have policy board check-ins, and Senator Kupek gave an advisory board update. On July 28th, I attended the LM Lakeland Mental Health Center board meeting in Fergus Falls. We had updates from all the Fergus Falls supervisors. Really great to hear how the BAR program is continuing to work really well in the school districts. I know that's something that Clay County has in our school districts as well. There was a pretty long discussion on Medicaid and how the federal changes will really affect the reimbursements. I know that Donna Baker, the CEO, was in a news article with Quinn from the county in regards to how that will affect all of us locally. We're just going to do the best we can to help address the mental health needs of our community and figure it out, I guess. On July 29th, I met with County Administrator Larson with the City of Barnesville on their ambulance allocation concerns. It kind of went into a little bit of the dispatch concerns, which is why I had asked the questions when the sheriff was here. I know that's all within your purview, but hopeful that we can work with them. They were concerned that their needs weren't getting addressed and advocated for at this board, so I'll continue to help advocate for all of the cities within Clay County better. July 31st, I attended the Fargo-Moorhead West Fargo Chamber Public Policy meeting. We did have an update on the federal big beautiful bill components and how it will affect all of us locally. Appreciate the chamber for flying him in to give the updates on that. And then on August 4th, I attended the MetroCog Executive Committee meeting. We just had general updates from Ben, more of a follow-up from the mid-year review that I attended. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. On July 22nd, I attended the Insurance Committee meeting, which Commissioner Krabnoff gave a good report on. I don't need to add anything extra to that. On July 23rd, I attended the Prairie Lake Solid Waste meeting. We had budget discussions. We did approve the budget for 2026, and I think in terms of the tipping fee increase was at like a 5.2% increase, of which for Clay County that would amount to about $1,400 a month increase, or about $16,800 for the year. And that is us sending in the 8,100 tons of MSW to Perham. We did have some members from the HR department from Auditor County were there to talk about the implications of the Paid Family Leave Act. And so that's kind of an independent facility, but yet when it came to HR and all those types of things, we followed Auditor County policy. And so I think our plan now is to, Auditor County gave some discussions that they're looking at an outside carrier for that. I believe they got a quote that would be 7.9 or 0.79% instead of the 0.88. And so we just determined that we would go with whatever Auditor County chose. I mean, everything else is the same with HR, so we just felt it was important to stay in that regard. Also on the 23rd, that afternoon, I attended the diversion land meeting that Commissioner Mojo's already talked about, and I really don't have anything to add to that. On the Thursday morning, the 28th, or excuse me, the 24th, I attended the Clay County Solid Waste meeting. We had to talk about the MPCA issue that they found at the landfill, and also the dumpster deal. And then following that, then we had our annual meeting, or we had the negotiation meeting, and I want to follow up with, this board's been aware of the alternatives that we've put out there in the event that the city wanted to continue with their original letter to withdraw. And as Commissioner Mojo said, we are significantly different, and there was a counter proposal that was presented that day that still, from our standpoint, just when I say our standpoint, it's our administration, our superintendent or our director of solid waste, and the rest of us just felt wasn't fair. And I want to point out that the original agreement that we had was very fair to everybody. Clay County did take over an incredible amount of expenses when we moved to that new facility. And so with that, we're still going on. So I've just recently, this week now, I have asked Darren and Corey to put together another scenario that would create two separate tipping fees. One tipping fee would be for the operations of the resource recovery facility, and the other one would be with a separate one for those who would bring waste to the landfill. So we're gonna be meeting hopefully next week on that. The 13th is, I don't know, does Jenny, okay. Yeah, so we're gonna be meeting on the 13th to talk about that, and basically it is what it is. We're gonna apply all of the expenses that go towards a resource recovery facility,
And whatever that amount turns out to be in terms of tons and tipping fee, that's what it's gonna be. That would be our other choice. Unless they elect to say, okay, well, maybe we have a better deal than we thought and we should stay with the current system. I think that's another option that we will then have to propose to this board as well. So, and I can tell you that the numbers show that there'd be a significant tipping fee difference between the resource recovery facility and the landfill, based on the cost of operations of those two facilities. So that, I think in all transparency, that's kind of where we're at this point in time, and we will look at that on the 13th and bring that as another option. So, and then on that same day, then we had the MCC JPA meeting on the 24th. We acted on a reimbursement request, and also administrative platting affidavits were approved, and one excess land recommendation that we also approved. That afternoon again, we also had the Diversion Board of Authority meeting. Commissioner Ebringer's talked about that. I don't think we did act on several excess land issues, most of those being on the North Dakota side. And then we did meet the new colonel, was here from St. Paul District. And we got to meet him, and Terry was there from the in person from the Corps, and there's a big event coming up on Thursday morning where they're going to reroute the river into that new. It's going to be a pretty big deal. Then I believe I think speakers are at 9, I think.
That's correct, yep. 8 o'clock is when we can start parking, 9 o'clock is the speakers.
And then on July 28th, we had the West Central Regional Water District meeting. I think Commissioner Bear commented on that quite well. We had some additional discussions about the NMOU with Marshall Polk that seems like we might be gaining some ground there in terms of a mutual agreement on that. There continues to be some dialogue about Norman County being the fiscal agent. I think that's moving in the right direction. I think the person was pretty new to that. And then I do want to mention, we did have an insurance subcommittee meeting yesterday afternoon, and that was basically there's an awful lot developing on this insurance, and so we just had a subcommittee meeting just in preparations for this afternoon's insurance committee meeting, and I think we're going to see some pretty interesting numbers coming up this afternoon. So, and we have multiple meetings. I think there's multiple meetings lined up. Our goal is to have all of this figured out by the end of August, and Anna needs that in time for the 12-week time period that she needs to have for open enrollment. So we're kind of on a fast-track timeline on that, but so far what we're seeing is encouraging in terms of the potential premiums for our health benefits. And that concludes my report. Steve.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. 22nd, I participated in Insurance Committee, which has been well covered. 23rd, had some department head evaluation preps. On the 24th and 25th, participated in the Minnesota County Association of County Administrators Technical Days. We heard presentations from Ehlers and Capital Planning, how counties are dealing with artificial intelligence, the policies that they're using to address those, and also practices being utilized. We also talked about cybersecurity, EMS funding, and some of the challenges that are being held around the state and how they're dealing with those. We talked about Health and Human Service budget discussion with SNAP and Medicaid, and also heard updates from Matt Hilgart and Julie Ring. I want to thank the board for continuing to allow these opportunities to participate. I think that's very beneficial to bring back the information to the county. On the 28th, participated in the West Central Water District, which has been well covered. 28th, I also had a department head evaluation. 29th, we had a public health pre-budget meeting. That afternoon, I met with Mr. Melton on a series of county issues, and also met with the Mayor Rick Barnesville and City Administrator, has been mentioned by Commissioner Mojo. On the 30th, I met with representatives from the City of Moorhead and Dilworth in regards with White Earth Nation. We heard an update on right now they're in the process of conducting some surveys and feasibility studies to provide some additional information forward. Hope to have that here in the coming weeks. On the 30th, we had an administrative meeting with Dan Mawley and Robert Wilson. Much of our focus was on budget discussions. North Dakota is a little ahead of us. I think yesterday they presented their final budget. The 31st, participated in the FM chamber meeting that was also covered earlier. On the 31st, met with Justin Sorum, Peyton Mastera, and Don Lorsung, talking about some of the economic growth plans for Dilworth, and also to have some discussions on the 15th Avenue MetroCog study. On the 1st, I had department head evaluations, prep, met with Dan Mawley in regards to some city-county issues. Also on that 1st, we had an insurance RFP discussion with Anna and Darren. The 4th, we had pre-budget meeting with probation, which will be coming up, and also the insurance subcommittee. Just a note for the commission, on Monday, September 8th, the City of Moorhead is going to be having a public hearing on the Border City Enterprise Zone program. Again, that program impacts about 150 businesses in Moorhead that expends about $450,000 for their annual compensation. So you are invited to participate in that either in person or if you have anything that you'd like to send in. Just a note, Clay County right now is hosting the night-to-night burger cook-off at the Sheriff's Department, and so you guys are all invited to that after the meeting. That concludes my report.
All right, Brian? Darren?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Looks like I have 6 minutes to go through my notes here.
-6. -6 minutes.
I won't take 6 minutes because most of my stuff has already been covered. On the 22nd, I also participated in the insurance committee meeting. That afternoon, I had a judicial security work group with Kimberly, Jill, Lori, and Mark. On the 23rd, we had social workers negotiations. That was the first one for them, and the first negotiations with Detox. July 24th, I also attended the SWAC meeting, and that's been well covered by Commissioner Mojo and Commissioner Campbell. I also attended the SWAC advisory meeting with the City of Moorhead. That has also been covered very well. Throughout the last couple of weeks, I've been working on the union costing sheet, which I will bring to the board in an open or closed session on the 19th. On the 25th, I had to submit some information to the Bureau of Mediation Services. It looks like there's possibly a new bargaining unit that is forming. It would be the jail administrator and jail assistant administrator, only 2 people, but so I've been going back and forth with the Bureau of Mediation Services on that. Submitted the 21-20-day report to the bargaining units also on the 25th. On the 28th, we got a report from a state auditor on our para, and so I've been working with Lauren, the payroll clerk, to supply those reports. I had a meeting with Matt on the 28th as well to talk about the state grant that we covered today in the board meeting. On the 29th, I had a meeting with Steve and Anna to reference some personnel issues and benefit options, and also a pre-budget meeting with public health. On the 29th through the 1st, also worked on a lot of the union costing proposals, costing them out. On yesterday, we had lieutenant negotiations, and then the benefit meeting that Commissioner Campbell and Commissioner Kramenhoff has already commented on. And I've lost track of how many meetings I've had with Steve in the last 2 weeks, so that concludes my report. And I did it with 3 minutes left to the adjournment.
Sarah? Okay, I just want to add one thing back to the discussion regarding the potential tipping fee issues in regards to two separate tipping fees. And the tipping fee for the resource recovery facility would be based on us taking over 100% of the operations, including equipment that is required for the MSW side of that. So, you know, that's how that's gonna pan out, so. With that, there's nothing else, we will stand adjourned.